We are back, and welcome to the Forever Game. You know, this is a continual battle, continuing to get better. I feel like
we're in battle.
Sort of.
We are getting better, though.
Yeah, I feel like we're winning.
Okay. Well, so we're recording an episode today in Workup. We're back at Workup in Willmar. I'm in my old stomping grounds, and I just got to make some extra strong coffee.
Which is the only way you take it.
Because I am, what did you call me earlier?
I messaged Jamie when we were prepping to get ready for this, and I said, hey, we doing this at Workup? Yep, okay. And she's like, you go and set up. I was like, great. What are you going to do? She's like, well, should I get us coffees? She's like the freaking prima donna actress that like stays in her bougie trailer. I'm the setup crew. I'm also the co-host. And she like comes out, and this is what I messaged her. She comes out, and if the coffee isn't they're like goat's milk, dairy free, gluten free, French vanilla, but actually from some certain town in south of France. And like, she comes out like this with her big ass glasses on. And she's like, where's my assistant? Like that. So me and the setup crew get it all set up this morning. Jamie rolled in, had some casual conversation with the people here at Workup. I'm in here just sweating my whatever off, getting everything set up. She comes in and sits down, crosses her legs, grabs her coffee. She's like, oh, can I help? Can I help with anything?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, no, I got it now. Like everything's set up.
Remember when
I embellished a little bit of my stories.
I was just going to say a few episodes where you said you'd like to embellish. That was completely fabricated.
Not 100%. 15%,
some of it was true.
15%?
Some of it was true. I'm a coffee snob, so I needed it done. It made a certain way.
And you would have been willing if I would have said like, hey, will you do this? But I know what would have happened is like, no, that cord doesn't plug in that side. Flip the cord around. It wrong. It's upside down. Like, it's just faster if I do it. Anyway, so we're here today.
We're figuring that out.
We're here today to walk through the model that we use with clients, and really one that we've just really adopted recently to help clarify how we make content, how we help them market to, just market in general.
Yeah.
Using content. So we're going to talk about the customer journey in the 4 stages that are well known, that we didn't make up, but that are widely used. But we're going to relate it to how we make content to try to help any of you marketing people out there or small business people.
And the goal, yes. The purpose of using this process is to make your content better, first and foremost, but also way more effective and more strategic when it comes to actually doing the creative, making that creative work.
Yep.
You'll know your goals much clearer, and you'll therefore use your resources and money and time much better, and hopefully the end result is a win.
And I think so often when people are, even when we're working with our clients early on, when we didn't know what the heck we were doing, or we knew less than what we know now, that's what I'll say. We would sit down and like, all right, we'd show up. What are we going to do today? Like, what should we make today? We're here to make something. What should we make? Mm-hmm. And there was no real...
Which was fun still.
It was fun.
What are we going to make?
Yeah.
It felt more like, loosey-goosey.
Yeah, which I love. I love. You're way better at planning, and we need to get better at that as a company too. But this helps just really kind of clarify and make people feel more comfortable with what they're making, why they're making it, and then be more effective. Not take away from the authenticity or the fun of it, because it should be fun most of the time.
Yeah.
But to just make it more effective and make your dollar go further.
Okay.
All right.
So there's 4 phases in this customer experience journey. Number 1, which might be the most obvious one for people, but awareness, first phase.
Mm-hmm. So awareness is taking people that have never heard of you, and we're going to use an analogy for this, one that I picked. You'll be able to tell when I explain it. But people that have never heard of you, you've not existed in their world, to now they see you, they see what you do on a very surface level. Like you didn't exist 5 minutes ago. Now, that company does this thing. I maybe don't think about it for more than 5 seconds, but I'm aware.
Yeah.
And the analogy
when you're making that content, it's all about like getting the most eyeballs to land on that content as possible. So it's broad, it's hopefully still interesting, but it's just related. It kind of appeals to a wider audience.
Yeah.
Say.
you can take that vanilla piece of content that we don't love, but it can fit, it can work. We can retrofit it, or you can retrofit it to work in the awareness stage where you don't care about necessarily about, meeting your certain specific demos, people with certain interests. You just want as many humans as possible to see it and
To learn about you.
And that can depend based on if you're a regional business only, then just target it in your region, but don't set any real parameters unless you really start getting better at this and you dig into the ad side. But get as many people to see it as possible. And the analogy we're going to use, because I just made it up before this, was you're trying to pick up a date at the bar. How do we feel about that?
Oh, it's going to be memorable.
Okay, good. So in the awareness stage, we're going to take this through like a first person point of view. So you're going out to meet some friends. You walk into the bar. You're single, of course, right? I mean, we're not getting weird here, but you walk into the bar and you notice that, since I'm a male, you notice some girl sitting at the bar and she's got some things happening for her. She
catches your eye.
Yeah. But I don't want, I'm not there for her. Like, I'm there with my friends, but I notice it. I'm like, that's nice.
That's nice. That's nice.
Okay. I see that.
Piqued my interest a little bit.
Yep. I'm going to go
Caught
sit
my
down.
attention.
Yeah. I'm going to go sit down, do my own thing, like have fun, maybe take a peek every once in a while, but I'm not, it's not part of my like to-do list for the time.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's awareness.
What's the next stage?
Next stage is consideration. So in this stage, your goal is to explain, it's more based around educational content and educating the people that are consuming your content around why you do what you do, what makes you a little bit different, and what's your value proposition? What do you bring to the table that other people, maybe your competitors, aren't necessarily doing? Right.
So this is they've seen your stuff, or they know they know the service or product that you provide, or the products that you sell. And now they start to understand a little bit. And this is the content you make where you would say, okay, here's the service we provide and here's what we do. Like, here's a little, here's about why we do it, a little bit on the surface area of education in the industry in general. So you're saying if you're in lawn care, you're talking generally about what to do during the fall, the 5 best, tips for making a healthy lawn come spring. And you put that out there. Mm-hmm. You're trying to establish yourself as an industry expert in that area. And you do that by generally giving advice. Again, this is not sales. We're not there yet.
You're helping people with your content.
Yep. So they can, it's the establishing of a relationship, like the very beginning of trust. You don't just,
I like that.
I don't just walk into the bar and see that girl and walk up right up. I'm like, hey, what you doing later? That's a bold strategy. It's probably not going to work.
Bold strategy.
That's not going to work. So instead, if we take our analogy, I would probably walk up and it's offering something of value up front with really this is your education.
Here comes the drink.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. No, that's exactly what it is. So you walk up and you buy that Yeg Bomb for her without asking her.
I'm immediately judging you if you're buying me a Yeg Bomb.
Yeg Bomb, and I'm just going to put something in there quick. Okay, here you go. No, okay, we don't do that. We do it the right way because our goal is not the one-nighter. The goal is you want to get married. You want a real relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Long term.
Yeah.
You're playing the long game.
You're playing the forever game. Forever. No escape. So you don't walk up and do that. You walk up and you're like, hey, hi, introduce yourself. Are you here alone? Blah, blah, blah. Finding that out. Oh, you're single. Okay, great. And then,
we go to the same school, whatever it might be. Oh, we're interested in the same thing.
Yep.
I saw you at, what was it the other day? Maybe
undressing in your bedroom. Yeah, no, not like, I got it. Okay, fair enough.
I saw you out golfing. I don't know. It might be something that you have a shared interest.
Yes. Learning more about each other. And then you're like, can I buy you a drink? And then you walk away and there's really no expectation. You go up, you learn a little bit more. You offer that value up front. It's the same way as the lawn care business. You would say, here are the 5 tips for doing this thing. Okay, great. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Good luck with your lawns.
Have a good life.
Exactly.
Enjoy your drink.
And then walk away. And the reality is doing that more often and offering more little pieces of value during the consideration phase just allows people to build relationships with you, a tiny little relationship. And the interesting thing is the less you sell, the more they're interested. And this is true for women as well. The less you sell, if you're like, okay, great. Well, hope you have a nice night. Enjoy your drink. And then you walk away. If you're like, hey, what are you doing later? How about like keep like you putting too much effort into the sale? They're off, right? They turn off. Same thing for this.
Yeah.
If you're like, come buy my stuff, come buy my stuff, come buy my stuff. They feel it. Yuck. They don't want to.
It doesn't feel right. You just don't really have words to say or like words to describe it other than it just doesn't really feel authentic.
Totally. But if you walk away, have a good night, see you later, and then you don't look at her the rest of the night, and she notices, she's like, how come he's not buying me this drink? Like he should be looking more, right? Yeah. It's totally true. Okay. So that's consideration.
That was number 2.
Now you can make all sorts of content. So awareness can be very vanilla, 2 or 3 vanilla pieces of content shared everywhere. Now, when it comes to the consideration phase, this is where you would turn over more content. You could make more stuff to continually show up and offer that value up front, the educational stuff. So like a more wide variety.
Yeah.
I think that's
which I feel like we make a lot of consideration content.
Yep.
When we're doing videos.
And in a small rural area, most people are aware of medium-sized businesses that have been around a while. So it's not about exposure, it's about that consideration. Brand building. Yep.
Okay, phase 3, conversion.
This will be fun part of the analogy.
Yeah, it's going to get really interesting.
Conversion. But remember what we're after. We're after relationship, not the short-term thing.
We're after like an actual date, right?
Correct. The date is the goal in our analogy. But tell us about conversion a little bit.
Okay, so conversion is this is literally how working with us is going to go. Here's some of the questions, specific questions you might have, and we're going to do our best to answer them in the content that we're putting out. So it just gets a little bit deeper down into I was making a water reference earlier, which was better or maybe easier than the dating reference. Maybe not.
Everyone can relate to
whatever.
this.
So we're deeper down into the water. Like we're diving in and answering things like, here's how you become a client of mine, or here's how
here's what it's going to be like working with me.
Here's what to expect. What to expect when you're expecting.
And this part of the content, so there's kind of some different theories out there. Some people are not public with this part of the content.
Yeah.
So you've gotten the exposure, they've considered, and now that they move into this conversion part, you actually wait for the lead to come in, or you make a connection and someone's interested. Maybe they've engaged with some of your consideration content. Oh, I could use this. Or, hey, Sally, don't you need this right now? People will tag others. And then you reach out, and then the information can be very detailed and a little bit longer because they're willing to learn about how this product or service works. They're interested. And some people they don't share that publicly. They don't put out that content.
They could. We're kind of in favor of brands doing that more often. But some people like to keep it closer to the chest. But still, you can make the content for that and use it via email. So it's just like a one-on-one conversation, but still works just as effectively. And
the goal, of course, is to get as many yeses as possible that are going to convert and buy from you. But the other part is you want to weed out the no's as quickly as possible. So if I relate this to our analogy, I would say you wouldn't just some people can. Some people feel comfortable going on Match.com and putting out all of the things they're interested in, and I want a date right now. They're comfortable putting that all out there. Some people, and naturally, I would never do that as myself.
Me neither.
That's not the way I would roll. But thankfully, you and I are not in the dating game anymore.
I was bad at it, so
I felt like I was good, but no results.
So you weren't good.
Yeah, I was. Results speak for themselves. It didn't go well.
Okay, so what are we going to do?
Some people, people that are like us, we would hold on to that information. We would talk to the girl at the bar, and then maybe as you're leaving, you walk up and you're like, "Hey, would you ever want to hang out? We could maybe do this, this, and this." This is where you're explaining what that experience would be like, what the conversion would be like. We could, go watch the show, go meet up at this brewery and try some things or a winery, and just have a nice, early night, like kind of like that. And
Early night. No, maybe it's more like, maybe we should grab coffee. Like it's more of an easier,
sure. Okay.
easier date.
Yeah. You really want to ease into this. That's fine. But it's explaining the experience, and there's not a lot of expectation tied to it. You're just explaining how it's going to work. That's how I would roll on a more individual basis. I wouldn't put that out publicly, but some people do. And it's all about how you want to handle it, right?
Right.
With your content. So you could make a 7-minute video that explains, this is how it's going to work with me if we're doing your lawn next spring. Explain the steps. And here's when we would come out. We would, spray your lawn 3 times that summer about this time, and this time. You pay us at this time, and this time. And we're going to take care of all of these things. And that's how it'll work every year. So you explain that in detail.
Yeah.
Right. And the goal, of course, is to get a yes. And if you get a yes, then it all comes down to how you can deliver on your product or service. If it's good, if that date's good, if you do, if you do well with solid expectations, then it might turn into a relationship. They might go with you every year then for your lawn care. They might come back to your store to buy your product because you set the expectations appropriately. They got the value or the perceived value out of it. And so now they're interested in, more of a long-term relationship.
There was a really good, I remember when we were listening or learning about the customer journey thing on a podcast, which I can't recall which one it was, but maybe we can find it and share it later.
It was on Social Media Examiner.
Okay.
And I think it was making video for the 4 stages of the customer journey or something like that. If you go to Social Media Examiner and listen to like the first minute of each one, it was some Australian dude that seemed rad.
Really good accent. But that was a really good example of this, in this particular phase of creating that content, that long form video where it is like 7 minutes long and it's walking through the whole journey. And maybe like you are in an industry where it does come down to meeting one-on-one, signing some papers, that kind of thing. But in the example, he was talking about, okay, I sent my prospective customer this video and I could literally see how long they watched that video for. So I know when they come in what they've been educated around and what questions they're going to have, what they already know, what they don't know, and where to pick up that conversation, which I thought was brilliant because it saves a lot of time on both ends and makes that experience so much more productive.
Yes.
So I thought that was really cool.
And there are all sorts of tools out there. You can Google how to see, how much video people have watched. And
that's
there's
exactly
software
it.
out
They
there.
were using a third-party software that was measuring the analytics back-end side of things.
But I wouldn't worry about that right away. That don't use that as a barrier. Make your stuff
for sure,
and get it out there. And then if it starts working and you want to dig more into it because you're finding your clients are not as educated as you expected, then you can dig into that a little more to be more efficient. But
it was kind of like a little bit nerdy. It was borderline creepy, but cool.
Yep. I'm not into that sort of stuff. Jamie clearly is.
Okay, I think we've covered conversion.
Yep, totally.
Do you feel like you're going to get your date?
We were on the date. It went pretty well. Now I got the number, right?
So you did convert.
Yeah, I got her number. The date is the conversion. She's still got to show up.
That's right.
And so we took your advice. We're going to meet for coffee at this little coffee place.
But maybe it'll go really well and you'll end up at the brewery because it's going to be a long date.
It happened. In this analogy, it happened. It was, we met and it was a little bit awkward at first, but we started chatting a little bit and understanding each other more about what they're looking for in life. And it found out that our values matched and we had some value we could then offer each other,
had a lot of things in common.
Yep. And so we went on a first couple dates and things went really well. And so now we're to the last stage.
Now you're in the last phase, which is reciprocity.
Yep.
And this is basically how you keep your customers long-term. Like what the things that you're doing for your customers to get them to come back or to keep them as a current customer to make them happy.
Yep.
To keep them happy in the relationship with you as a business and customer joint, whatever you call that. Or
okay.
as a dating partner. Go back to the analogy.
Wow. Well done. Okay. So back to the analogy. Well, first, let's talk about some content for that stage. So some examples that we've learned about and heard about are as simple as you give people a shout out on social because you worked with them and it went well. You leave a positive, if you're B2B, you leave a positive review on like their business pages on Google, Yelp, or LinkedIn or whatever. If it's client-based, you're B2C, you could reach out to that person that was just in your store and bought something and say, hey, thanks for coming in. It was so great working with you.
Easy way would be like, an example would be like a boutique that somebody buys a certain shirt and they post it in their stories. They're like, oh, I love this new shirt from whatever place. And then you get tagged because that's how it works. And you say, thanks so much for coming in. It was so fun to meet you. Enjoy your new thing. And you share it on your page, on your story. People love getting like a little bit of extra from businesses. So I feel like that's such an easy one.
And I think it's the stage that's a lot of people skip. If this is where you're really going to prove your authenticity, is you're generally happy and grateful to have worked with someone, whether it's they bought some products for you or they used your service, and you actually have to be grateful and thank them. If it's if you're in real estate and it's been a year since they bought their house and they used you and you bought them a little like present for 1 year or something like that, these are the things that really close the deal as far as your branding go. And it's another positive touch point where they're going to then tell their friends.
Yeah.
And they're going to remember you.
For sure.
And so
another way to set yourself apart.
Yeah. Yep. To make people feel good. The goal is to make people feel good about doing business with you. And if they do that, they'll talk to people. And let's get back to our analogy.
Can't wait.
So we had our date. We've had we've had a couple dates. Now we had an evening date, and we went to a show. We then got some drinks afterwards, and it was, I dropped her off. No expectation, but little hug. There was no kiss, but a little hug, like a straight
like an ass out.
No, not ass out.
No, it was
a straight, like caressing, sort of tender hug, just for a second, and then it was like hope to hang out soon, and then get back in the car. Right again, not overly salesy. Like what you got going on in there? Can I come in? That's not what we're doing. Right. We've had the good date, and now. This is randomly a week later, 2 weeks later. You haven't heard from her yet, or maybe
should maybe be just like a couple of days later. Okay, in just this a couple example. Days.
But I don't want you want to be overly appreciative or eager. I mean, people hate that.
But in this stage in the game, you've got their number.
You randomly buy them flowers without telling them, right? But if it's someone like Jamie or my wife, like you don't do it to their workplace because they're like, oh god. They hate that attention. You got to know the customer you're dealing with here, right?
Yeah.
And so this would be sending flowers to their house when or buying them a random gift, or sending them a cool photo, or just sending them like, hey, have a great day today. Yeah. I know you have that big meeting.
I would like that more than flowers, probably.
Yes.
But
we
some all are different.
Everyone's different. You got to know your customer, right? Mm-hmm. And you will by this point, hopefully, if you've paid attention. So you keep cycling that over, reusing that exposure content. Keep making the educational content, because that's got to be relevant to the time, to what you do. For conversion, again, this is specific information about how it is to work with you. The very detailed stuff related to your business, what you sell, and then the reciprocity piece, like close that positive relationship loop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like you and I were brainstorming yesterday some good ideas for some of our clients for reciprocity, because we are kind of coming up on sort of a thankful time, right, of the year where people are in more of like a giving spirit. So maybe this is a good time for whoever's listening to think about that same thing and what they can do to thank the customers that they already have that are loyal, or they haven't, had an interaction with that recently. So kind of a good time to do that.
Absolutely. So hope that helps. And if you have any specific questions, just hit us up on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
And we'll try to help. Otherwise, good luck this week.
Good luck.
I don't know. What do you want to say?
That's it.
Okay.
Have a good day. Have a good week.
All right, guys. Peace out.